that if Apkabio loves Ahmed Bola Tinubu and he truly believes in the Ahmed Bola Tinubu movement for a renewed hope for Nigeria, he will jettison, he will kill his Senate presidency ambition and give it to the Southeast. You can call me names. People committed suicide. People died just because Emefiele and some people, the cabal, wanted to stop you from becoming president.
Reactions have thrilled different activities, taking the negative part of the Nigerian government and taking the negative welfare of the Nigerian people. Okay, this is trying to truncate the good living and the economic balancing we had during the last government, and so these particular issues pertaining to the economic crunch cannot be sidelined. Lots of issues talking about the removal of fuel subsidy, talking about the ongoing presidential elections petitions tribunal, killings, wanton killings everywhere in the northeast, in the north central, and so on, killings in the southeast, and so on. These activities have vowed to truncate issues that have been actually bothering the hearts of Nigerians that need to be addressed by the federal government immediately, especially the incoming government of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So in the wake of this, we would say that I would always make sure that we remind the government by any means possible to please put more efforts to bring all these issues, these conundrums to a stop, because Nigerians are tired. My name is Angelo. Welcome to Nation's Voice Tower. The chairman of the Niger Delta People Volunteer Force, Asari Dokunbo, has called out Godwin Emefiele, the governor of the Central Bank, for allegedly harboring plans to truncate the incoming government of Bola Asiwaju Tinubu even before the election period, and that is through the Naira redesign policy and so on, and his alleged failure, okay, in office. Now, Asari also dragged the preferred candidate of the APC for the role of the Senate president, talking about Apkabio, on how he actually undermined the NDDC during his time as Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. He opined that Apkabio should in no way be allowed to be Senate president, as he feels that the southeastern candidate is more viable and efficient, thereby backing an Igbo man for the office of the Senate president. Now, he has tactically made a U-turn on his initial video where he installed lots of insults and lots of derogatory statements and called out Southeasterners over an alleged ploy to collaborate with the Nigerian Labour Congress to embark on a nationwide strike. Asari Dokunbo has been controversial over time. Well, he gave this particular video this morning on his official Facebook page. Let me allow you watch a cutaway from this long video he gave. Watch it.
That if Apkabio loves Ahmed Bola Tinubu and he truly believes in the Ahmed Bola Tinubu movement for a renewed hope for Nigeria, he will jettison, he will kill his Senate presidency ambition and give it to the Southeast. And ask President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to give the Senate presidency to the Southeast for an all-inclusive government, to be able to pacify those people who are silent but are afraid to come out to confront these anarchists who had been let loose in the Southeast. People can hate me for saying the truth. You can call me names. People committed suicide. People died just because Emefiele and some people, the cabal, wanted to stop you from becoming president. Emefiele is there. If you allow him to stay, he will stay through his tenure. And he will serve you like a row dog. Dog. Because that's what they are. That's what these so-called elites are. Their belly and their pocket is all that they know. No honor, no integrity. Emefiele is a typical example. From Dezani to Goodluck to Buhari to Cabal in order to stop you. Now they claim it's Muslim ticket. But when it's time to do their magic, they run to Fulani magicians who call themselves malams to sacrifice cow, to do this for them. They have not stopped. They are campaigning, they have continued to poison the mind. We told them, if you come out to the street to demonstrate, we'll meet you on the street. Justice, nobody says South is not good for Senate President. South is very good for Senate President. But at this time that we're involved, we need to give a lot. It is better to save lives. It is better to secure the Southeast than allow the Southeast to continue to drift. Because the ambition of one person cannot in any way bring anything different to the South. Apkabio destroyed NDDC. Nothing. They were just sharing money with the people in the villa. Destroyed NDDC. All the funds given to NDDC. Nothing. Apkabio is already in baggage. I have nothing personal against Apkabio. I did not interact with him.
Yes, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still your favorite YouTube channel. Now, in this particular aspect, I would support and say I am giving a sort of kudos to Asari Dokunbo for actually coming out for the first time to state something that he feels is right. Now, not because there are sentiments on ground, not because he has actually said something else that was against these people, but because in Nigeria, people feel there should be a striking balance between ethnicity and religion, especially when it comes to appointment of public offices, okay? So if there is a Muslim ticket at the presidency, then I see no reason why, or let's talk about the ethnic aspect of it now. If there is a Southwesterner as the president, of course, which is not supposed to be zoned, and there is a North Central person or Northeasterner as the vice president, it is just right that a Southeasterner should be considered as the Senate president, who is the number 3 man in the society or in Nigeria, because the Southeasterners have been marginalized over time and need to be given a sort of recognition in this particular government, which Asiwaju is trying to instill. So I would say to Asari Dokunbo that yes, you have done really quite well by coming to bring out or point out this particular issue pertaining to the Senate presidency and the quest or the build-up to the appointment or election of whoever is going to be the Senate president over time. So, that is his own opinion, though, because the All Progressive Congress, its chieftains, its National Executive Committee, and its working committee have actually called out Apkabio to be their preferred Senate presidential candidate. In fact, here I would say that he has already assumed the role, because you could see Apkabio going in and out of the Aso Villa incessantly. So that is to say that, well, it is a sort of already existing appointment for him, subject to the votes of the members of the Senate. That is that on that update. Next, I have something different. Now, the former national chairman of the APC and the former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole, has called out fellow partisan Festus Keyamo, SAN, over his inability to strike a balance between the budget for the ASU strike and the wages for labor and the fuel subsidy budget payment, okay? Oshiomhole held that if the federal government could pay trillions of naira for subsidy, then why not quickly dismiss the 1.3 trillion owed to labor, okay? That is to say that he feels, according to Oshiomhole, that the government should cough out 1.3 trillion naira to pay the ASU staff, okay, that have been actually staging strikes over and over again, thereby trying to truncate the educational sector in Nigeria, okay. These and many more in this short video caption of Oshomole. Watch and enjoy it.
Having seen the figure then, and they were now grossing over $1 trillion naira, 1 trillion naira. I said, this was a huge, huge waste. It is time, particularly when at the same time, you have critical sectors like education being underfunded. And when you talk to those responsible, they tell you it's not that they are averse to funding education, or they do not understand that underfunding education is to mortgage our future. But that, and they ask the question, where is the money? You can't give what you don't have. And so, now over the years, it has become a tradition that Nigeria accepts that children of the rich are in school, with the academic calendar respected, but those in public, federal government and state government-owned universities sometimes spend 7 years, 6 years for a 4-year degree program. What is the issue? Because government is unable to meet its obligation. The last strike was particularly revealing. I watched the Labour Minister of State for Labour, Keyamo, saying that what ASU was asking for was almost over 900 billion naira. And federal government can't afford it. And what I said to myself is, if federal government can afford 7 trillion for subsidy, how can you not afford 1 trillion for education? I mean, you have to get your priorities right. So I think the issue for me, talking to President Tinubu and having been involved in his campaign as Deputy Director General of the campaign, I know what we promised, that we will withdraw the subsidy, but not to impose hardship. And that is why the president, unlike any previous one, was in the forefront of saying, even before the NSC gave strike ultimatum, I am aware of the unintended.
If you ask me, I will tell you that I would not know what position Oshomole is holding in this particular statement, because politicians are always politicians, okay? Oshomole was once the the chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress. He fought for the welfare of Nigerians. He fought for the good of Nigerians. He fought for the common good of and activism of Nigerians, okay? Many days, years later, he became governor of Edo State, okay, where he tried and also he met to the needs of his people in Edo State. Many days later, he became the national chairman of the APC, where everybody saw how weird and how a sort of disillusioned Oshomole was in governance, okay. So for him to come out and point out this, especially calling out a fellow party member, Festus Keyamo, that is why people call Festus Keyamo the baby minister, because he tends not to know the left, or from his left to his right, or from his right to his left. Festus Keyamo has been drawn online over time for the wrong reasons. He has trended online for the wrong reasons. And this time around, Oshomole has not kept anything to chance. He has spoken directly, although he didn't call his name, but we know who he's talking about. We know who spoke about the issue of subsidy and the issue of ASU strike, striking a balance between them. That is that on that particular update. I would urge you to please like and share our videos if you are an incoming or already existing subscriber. I would also urge you to please share these videos and drop a comment for us in the comment section if you feel anything different from what we're doing here. Don't forget to do that. These particular activities make YouTube make our videos go viral. Finally, this is regarding to economic governance and the economic system and the economy of Nigeria. Reacting to an old video where an unidentified white man from Europe, to be precise, staged a documentary of the Ajokuta steel complex in Kogi State, asking why Nigerians wasted over $10 billion on steel mill abandoned for over 10 years. He outrightly alleged that Nigeria went forth to scam itself, because when you allege such a whooping amount of billions of dollars and then you actually abandon such a project for up to 10 years, you've ended up scamming yourself. This particular white man, I don't know how he got information about this. I don't know how he got first-hand legitimate information about Ajokuta complex, but what he said here is worthy of sharing to our lovely viewers. He furthermore said in the documentary that he actually exposed a high level of corruption in Kogi State, in the Kogi State axis of the country, and it's actually funny that is coming from a foreign body, I repeat, okay? Now, this abandonment of the Ajaokuta steel deposit in Kogi State has lasted for more than a decade now. And I will tell you what, we need to actually call on the federal government to order, especially as it's a new developmental government as proposed, to please order a form of rehabilitation of not just the refineries, but also our mineral deposits. Without wasting much of the time, let me bring you a clip from this documentary from this white man. It's shocking. Wow, if you ask me, I'll tell you I'm shocked with the fact that a white man is coming out to give us these details about our own country. Watch this with keen interest.
$10 billion on a steel mill that sat abandoned for 40 years. Now, this may be one of the most shocking stories of mismanagement ever, and it exposes one of the worst aspects of corruption and incompetency that has plagued many African governments for decades. The story begins in 1970. Having emerged victorious in the Nigerian Civil War with the aid of the Soviet Union, the country's federal military government began to adopt the Soviet model for Nigeria's post-war economy. State ownership of the means of production was officially confirmed in 1970 when Nigeria's military government decreed that the state would acquire and control the greater proportion of the productive assets of the country. But while Nigeria's government would go on to nationalize nearly half of the economy, virtually all of these state-run businesses would eventually exist to simply enrich corrupt government officials. And there's no better example of this than the Ajaokuta steel mill. Originally intended to be one of the largest industrial projects in sub-Saharan Africa, the mill was supposed to produce over 2.6 million tons of steel in its first year of operation alone. There was just one problem. It never opened. Why? Well, because despite the government awarding a contract to build the site in 1976, a combination of corruption and incompetency has plagued the project to this very day. For starters, the mill ended up being built on a site that was so far away from Nigeria's iron mines that there was no practical way to actually get the iron to the mill. But not to worry. In 1987, more than 7 years after the mill was supposed to be completed, Nigeria's government decided to award a second government contract, this time to build a state-owned railroad connecting the mines to the mill. The government promised that this would take 5 years to complete, but what began as one act of gross government inefficiency and corruption soon became two, as the railroad sat abandoned and unfinished for decades. But the story doesn't end there. In a twist of irony, when the government finally brought in a foreign firm to complete the railroad in 2017, it was discovered that much of the abandoned railway track had been looted for its steel. Yet despite these setbacks, the railroad did finally open in 2020, more than 28 years behind schedule. But the mill itself still remains unfinished and still has not produced a single unit of steel, despite more than $10 billion being sunk into the project for more than 40 years. And since 1992, government officials have been telling the public that it would take hundreds of millions in additional taxpayer dollars to finally finish the project. The story of the Ajaokuta steel mill is yet another example of the systematic habit of politicians and government officials to overpromise and underdeliver. Not to mention waste hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in bribes, kickbacks, and other forms of corruption. History has demonstrated time and again, no matter where it's tried, that government ownership of projects like these practically guarantees that they will be inefficiently constructed and operated. But throw in a dictatorship unaccountable to the people, combined with an economic system unaccountable to customers and investors, and you have yet another tragic story of the misuse of resources that was entirely avoidable.
Okay, all said and done. You heard it there from the white man. I will call him the white man because I couldn't lay claims, or I couldn't lay my hands on his identity and so on and so forth. So yes, in as much as that is an old video, but I felt we should bring it to mind because reactions have been trolling this particular video on social media. Dino Melaye has reacted to this video yesterday, and the governor of Kogi State, Yaya Bello, has reacted to this video this morning. Okay, other members, Smart Adeyemi, has reacted to this video this morning, and so on and so forth. So the reaction from this old video has brought our attention to it, and we're trying to bring it to the attention of our lovely viewers, and in most cases, the attention of the government. So they will look at this and see what to do. Remember, in his campaign, that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu promised the people of Kogi State to bring back life and to resuscitate the Ajaokuta steel complex, which we are yet to see, although it's just 5 days or 6 days in office or more. So we will see if he will fulfill his promises. My own take on this video is, number one, the Ajaokuta steel complex is a history of corruption international conspiracy and ineptitudes, okay? Furthermore, you could say that the Ajaokuta Steel Complex is a multi-billion-dollar waste. And I tell you what, it's a loss of opportunity. But we can still bring it back and come back to track, reclaim the name given to us, being the giant of Africa. I hope we will stand by that in this new government. Thanks for joining us. See you in my next video. Bye.